Hey, everybody. I hope your first part of 2026 is going well for you. Thought I would provide a reading update on what I read in Q1 of this year. So let's just jump right in. The first book that I finished this year is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert M. Pirsig. I really like this book. I gave it 4 stars. It turned out to be about 80% philosophy and 20% story. He goes into a dialogue essentially with himself about the meaning of quality and what quality is, how we measure it. He does that through his main character, who is a professor, and he teaches like the art of rhetoric or something like that. And he has this realization in class that his students, they're kind of paralyzed when they're asked to talk about what makes something good in terms of a book, novel, piece of art. And they don't really know what to say. They're kind of looking to the professor to provide that answer, some sort of structure in which they can judge things and judge art. And he realizes that this is kind of a problem. He kind of goes off on a tangent about the education system in general, specifically in America in this book, and I won't get into that. But in the end, this intellectual, he goes through this process of thinking about quality as a concept, and he comes to a discovery that really shatters him and shatters his worldview. If you've ever read Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky and didn't like it for whatever reason, this book addresses some of the concepts that Dostoevsky was addressing in Notes from Underground, kind of overthinking and not living and staying in one's head too much. I think this book is more interesting in the way it explores those themes and that kind of psychological existential crisis. So again, if you're looking for something that's kind of like Notes from Underground, but a little more compelling, in my view, this fits the bill. And hey, look at that. It matches my shirt. So hooray. The next book I read is the best work of fiction I read this year and I think in my life. And that is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. It was amazing. The themes involved, I think, are all of the themes that resonate with me. And that includes good versus evil, morality, moral choice. Moral choice is like the spine of this book. Timshel is the word that Steinbeck uses to explore that. Thou mayest is what Timshel means. You may do this, you may do that. You may act for good, you may act for evil. It is your choice. And those choices that are made by the characters in this book, who fall mainly on the extremes of the moral spectrum, those choices ripple across generations, and we see the effects of those choices play out over 600 pages, and it is absolutely epic. I can't say enough about it. 5 stars for me. East of Eden, John Steinbeck. On to the next. Following East of Eden, I read a book called Anchored. I don't have a physical copy of it. I read it on Kindle. It's by Deb Dana, who is a psychotherapist, psychologist, one of the silent P mental health professionals. And it's about a concept that I have read extensively about over the years, only she wrapped it in different clothes. So it's about your nervous system. And what she has discovered is that, not she specifically, but what this branch of psychology and science has discovered is you can listen to your body send signals to you, and those signals are from one of 3 places. They're either from the freeze part of your nervous system, the fight or flight part of your nervous system, or the part of your nervous system that is just content for the time being because you're around people who are comfortable for you to be around, and you're like I said, you're content. So these signals come from one of those 3 places, and they manifest in your body and come up and influence what you say and what you do and how you feel. Now, that concept is, in that book, it's tied to your nervous system and your body. It's also articulated in other ways and explained differently. If you've ever told yourself, oh, I had a gut feeling, or I do what, I listen to my soul. My soul wants something, or my conscience says something. They're just different ways of describing the same phenomena in my view. So that was anchored. It wasn't new information to me, but it sort of explained that concept and how to listen to your body and understand what it wants and what it wants you to say and do. I gave it 2 stars because it was a concept I had already read about. It's 150 pages or so. I read like half of it and got the point, so I put it down, which led me to my next book that I kind of paired it with, which is one that was released, I think, last year. It's called The Next Conversation by Jefferson Fisher. I saw Jefferson Fisher appear on the podcast The Diary of a CEO and thought his discussion was really fascinating, and he had really great tips. He is a lawyer from Eastern Texas and has developed these tips from his law practice and has decided to impart them into this book here for us to consume. And his gift is negotiation and speaking with people and making it so you can have difficult conversations in a way that is productive for both parties. I think the difference between this book and a lot of other books that try to help with negotiation and difficult conversations is many of the other books stop short of telling you how to conduct yourself in a difficult conversation and how to put boundaries up and what to say in order to make those boundaries effective and convey your feelings. And this book goes the extra mile and gives you a bunch of different ways to say something or to make it so you are comfortable in the room when you're in a high pressure conversation that has some weight. And so there's really good tips and tricks in here and things you can actually say that you can kind of pick and choose from, like it's a cocktail menu and those options can fit your personality. They might not, but pick what you like from this book and see if it helps you in your next conversation. I did like this. I would give it about 4 stars. Next Conversation by Jefferson Fisher. Finally, the 5th book I read in the first quarter of 2026 is called The Sacred and the Profane by Mircea Eliade, who is a religious historian at the University of Chicago. Not currently. I believe he has passed away. This book was written in the early 20th century. I give this 5 stars. It absolutely blew my mind right open, brains on the wall and all. Anyway, that was a little grotesque, but this is a book, every once in a while, one comes around that just changes how you see things, how you see the world, and you can't unsee it. This is that book. It is only 250 pages, and almost every page contains a sentence that made me think for a good long while. I don't know how to describe this book without going down a rabbit hole. I'm going to try to stay surface level here. I made notes, and I'll read from a few of them here. His primary concern is to present the specific dimensions of religious experience and to contrast them with the profane experience of the world. Eliade says that a purely profane existence is never achieved in real life. That although one may not believe in any sort of deity or transcendent force, one still behaves in a religious way. And his challenge is to prove that. And he does that in part by providing the essence of religion. He identifies across cultures and across times what religious people have done. And he by looking at their behavior, he's able to extract a pattern of how they experience the world and how they see things. And so that provides us with a definition of religion, which is not exactly one that we would probably use today, because all religion is a hierarchy of meaning. Picture a pyramid as your hierarchy. At the top of that pyramid, there is going to be something that is of value and of meaning to you. It's something that holds the most value and the most meaning to you. It can be God, it can be your family, it can be yourself, it can be money, it can be whatever. That is what religion is. It's a hierarchy of meaning that we tend to constantly. For example, when we say that somebody does something religiously. Oh, Dave, he goes golfing religiously. He goes to the movies religiously. He hangs out with his family religiously. There's a reason that that is a phrase, and it's because whatever we do religiously, they're habits. They're things that we prioritize over all else. Everybody is religious in some sense, according to Iliad's definition of religion, because whatever you value and whatever you find most meaningful in life, that is essentially what you worship. It's what you find to be most sacred in this world. So that's what I read in Q1 of 2026. Thanks for sticking around, and I hope to see you in the next one.